What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pioneer Assembly Podcast. I am your host, Bethany Barr Phillips, and we are in day 4 of our 5 set of field notes, this first set of field notes that we are walking through the question, how do I live what I believe? Here's our anchor statement that we're working from. You live what you believe by faith while you wait as a disciple bearing fruit as if heaven is your home. Today we're going to talk about bearing fruit, which I'm pretty excited about. My church is in a Fruits of the Spirit. We just began it today. I wrote this last week, so it was so much fun to kind of gauge what my pastor's thoughts were on Fruits of the Spirit to this idea of living a fruitful life. And the way I wanted to approach this today for the field notes is real fruit versus fake fruit. You may have heard the term fruit from believers in reference to production in their life. Something like they have a lot of fruit in their life, or that ministry produces much fruit or is completely fruitful. It's essentially a term that gives us language for the reality that if a person follows Jesus, you'll know it because you'll see that they follow him in their life. That is the fruit. That's the language that we're using for that. And while this is true, the purpose and production of fruit isn't just an outward response to being a Christian. It's first an inward recognition and response to what God has done and is doing in your life. So let's start with the real fruit, right? Today we're looking at real fruit versus fake fruit. Real fruit. Galatians 5:22 and 23 is the verse for this where it says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things, there is no law. How many of you learned the song at summer camp? But the fruits are love, joy, peace. Yeah, if you were Deep South Mississippi summer camp circa 1995, you are already singing that song in your head. This is true fruit, right? True fruit shows how you demonstrate that you live for and in relationship with God. Let me say it again. True fruit shows how you demonstrate that you live for and in relationship with God. But the context of these verses is back in verse 13, Galatians 5:13. It says, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. Real fruit, the kind that we listed, that you sing about at summer camp, is only real in the life of a believer when he or she is living in freedom that does not indulge in flesh, but rather serves others. In other words, you cannot expect to bear real fruit in your life and still indulge in things that do not honor God. Let me list some of those things. Secret TV shows, lying, gossip, placing your desires above the needs of others, stinginess, hateful comments, thoughts, passive-aggressive division, hiding. It's just reality. I think a lot of times we just think drug dealers and gangbangers and people that, it's not. It can be as simple. Anything that allows our flesh gratification is not going to bear fruit. Keep in mind that things can be harsh like that because truth isn't always as encouraging as you want it to be, but truth is meant for freedom. It's not meant for us to feel good. It's why we have to say truth and love. I love you, so I'm going to tell you this. But the reality is, let me say that again, truth is not supposed to be this encouraging feel-good moment. Truth sometimes is going to reveal things that we've got to get right. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We should want that in our life. These things will bring freedom in your life, these fruits of the Spirit, because they keep you in his light, the light of truth, where there's nothing to hide and heaven to gain. When you live in truth and you're walking in truth, you're living in the light. You don't have to make an excuse. You don't have to explain yourself all the time. You know that you're honoring the Lord with every decision and thought. Real fruit comes naturally to someone spending time with God. It's not forced, it's not lost, it's not found in a hamster wheel of production and progress and doing. Anybody can do that. Real fruit is found in a life that longs to please God. Real fruit longs to put away the ways of the world. Now, the fake fruit is opposite of this. Fake fruit looks for worldly gain. Fake fruit goes its own way. Fake fruit is anything in our lives we try to cultivate on our own apart from God. This applies to life, jobs, ministry, relationships, leadership, family, school. When we choose to do things our own way and not God's way, we're going to find ourselves trying to generate, trying to perform, manufacture what we were never meant to do. Richard Foster, the author of Celebration of Discipline, I love this book. I read it honestly coming out of high school and was blown away, also incredibly convicted that I really needed to learn more about spiritual disciplines in my life. He said this: the fruit of the Spirit is not push, drive, climb, grasp, and trample. Life is more than a climb to the top of a heap. Just let that sit for just a minute. Life is more than trying to climb to the top of a heap. The fruit of the Spirit is not pushing everybody out of the way. The fruit of the Spirit is making the way, right? Because Jesus has already done that. Know this: fake fruit always turns rotten. I think we so often sell ourselves the lie that fake fruit is still good fruit. I think sometimes we pretend to have fruit in our lives so that hopefully it'll just show up eventually. But fake fruit won't produce the actions and the attitude of the fruit of the Spirit. And we may be able to put on a good show on the outward, but on the inward, we are going to be dying on the vine, starving, burning up, burning out, because we're choosing to do things our own way. No farmer says when he's trying to sell at a farmer's market, now I know this is fake fruit, but it's the best fruit you're going to find. No, a true farmer will always be proud of what he presents for others to partake from. It took labor to grow fruit. It took long hours and intentional care for him to grow. That farmer developed calluses and demanded that certain tools be utilized in order to yield the best crop. Farmers don't try to produce something not presentable. They want to yield what's best, and that should be the same for us. We live in a church culture now where it's popular to first point to leadership as our problem, but fake fruit is quite often our own individual doing. When we allow the seeds of fake fruit to be cultivated into the soil of our hearts, then we are the ones who receive its promises of favorable conditions and position. So why are we surprised when fake fruit is produced in our lives when we are the ones that welcomed it? And its end road, the end game for fake fruit is burnout. It's shriveling up. It's dying on the vine again. May we be willing to identify the fake fruit in our lives before pointing out any fake fruit in others or even the local church. May we be willing to repent where we have partaken fake fruit and we have passed it out to others. May we be a people eager to pursue real fruit. How do we live what we believe? We bear fruit. And what is real fruit? Real fruit is found in a life that longs to please God. Friends, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Real versus Fake Fruit in the field notes. How do you live what you believe? Real fruit is found in a life that longs to please God, and I pray that that is where you find yourself today. If not, just ask the Lord to open up your heart, open up your mind and yourself to the things that He would have for you in the coming days. Don't forget to connect with us on social media @_Pioneer Assembly, and we will see you back here next time.